Hi everyone, a very warm welcome to today's virtual session. I'm Asmani from People Matters and I will be your host for the day. Organizations across India are bracing for a challenging future of work. But amidst these disruptions, they can find multiple opportunities for growth and innovation. However, this rests on having the right data insights to drive your business and people strategy. People analytics then emerges as a powerful tool that leverages data to identify patterns, trends, and insights to devise solutions that address unique organizational concerns. This will inevitably enable businesses to grow and attract, engage, and retain top talent. And so, continuing with the endeavor to provide actionable insights to our community, People Matters, in partnership with Aprivia HCM, is excited about this exclusive session in which we will talk about decoding the future of work with people analytics, key trends, challenges, and solutions. And now I would like to welcome our panelists. Today we have with us Arun Paul, Head of Human Resources at Orion Innovation. Arun is a seasoned HR professional with over 2 decades of experience across a range of diverse businesses, geographies, and cultures. His expertise lies in thoughtful management of the intersection of strategy, talent, and organizational culture, with extensive outcomes in organizational effectiveness, talent management, succession planning, and leadership development. Thank you so much for joining us, Arun. Welcome to the session.
Thank you.
Next, we have with us Madhu Subramani, Senior General Manager, HR and Admin at Bridgestone India. Madhu is an experienced HR professional with a demonstrated history of working in the automotive industry. As head HR of Bridgestone Automotive India, he is responsible for business partnering, leveraging existing systems and processes in organizational effectiveness, talent management, capability development, driving cost efficiency, and enabling a synergized, cohesive, and result driven work culture. Thank you so much for giving us your time today, Madhu. Welcome to the session.
Thank you. Welcome.
And we also have with us NS Sethu Madhavan, Implementation Manager at Akrivya HCM. Sethu Madhavan has over 9 years of professional experience spanning various fields such as information security, change management, consulting, and HR digital transformation. Currently in Akrivya HCM, he is leading the HCM implementation team for North and South India and GCC region. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sethu. Welcome to the
Thank
session.
you.
Before we begin, a quick note to our attendees today. If you have any questions during the session, please feel free to use the chat window. We will bring them up towards the end, which is reserved exclusively for audience Q&A. So let's get started. My first question is to you, Arun. As we open this discussion on people analytics, especially in a time of technological disruption and evolving employee expectations, what is your take on the power of people analytics to drive strategic decision making?
Thank you, Asmani, for that question. And good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Madhu Sedu. Great to be part of this panel. It's a very interesting question. People analytics have been a theme for a while. However, the recent changes, not only technology, but also by and large the changes in the business scenario, okay, which is led by nothing more than the most compelling change has been the digital transformation journey, okay, accentuated by the pandemic. Every business became a digital business in the last 3 years, and there is substantial investment and culture change that has happened into taking business digitally and people aligning digitally. This has created massive skill shortage in all types of industry, whether it is tech or non-tech. Okay, that these are two important changes, followed by the whole mindset change of people who are working in a flexi, hybrid, remote manner. So that's the third big angle which has come into this entire play, followed by the employee mindset shift of moving to a gig economy. Okay, not that I don't want to work throughout my life or 8 hours for one employer. That mindset has shifted. And last but not the least, the compelling change is everything became digital, everything is also moving to cloud. The whole data security, information security, privacy concerns around it. These are four, five changes that is kind of drawing our attention. In this background or this context, you have to really have data on your fingertips to make agile decisions which you should get it right, because there is actually the world is moving very fast and there is no second chance to actually make a decision right. So data driven decisions, agility, getting it right for the first time, that becomes paramount. So that is why data driven, predictive, repeatable, pattern recognized decisions are very important in today's world. So that's why people analytics, HR analytics becomes very, very important. Now, to fasten this or to accelerate this change, we have now the AI, Gen AI change as well, which will bring in a lot of models that can be pattern recognized, repeatable models that would help us to make these decisions. These are my early thoughts and opening remarks, Ms. Mani.
Thank you, for setting the context for us, Arun. And I completely agree with, all the changes that you've highlighted and all the reasons why, people analytics becomes so pertinent for, HR today, especially. So coming to you, Madhu, since we've spoken about the importance of people analytics, I wanted to understand what do you think, are those key capabilities and skills that, HR professionals should develop to be able to leverage people analytics effectively?
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Asmani. Thank you for this question, and hello to the co-panelists and also to all the members attending this webcast. Um, as Arun said, and also to just set the context for this very interesting question. If you see, like, I come from the brick and mortar industry. Okay, so automotive component industry, if you see, has gone through a huge disruption in the last 3 to 4 years, and when we speak about say HR capabilities, if you see, the kind of business we are handling is has evolved over a long period of time. Like, obviously you have different problems to solve for. You have a hybrid culture, as Arun said, and we have a lot of new Gen Z talent which are entering the industry, and also we have a lot of issues to solve for in terms of we can't have a work culture where we can have everybody working from remote. So obviously there are people who have to be on the shop floor, who have to uh, uh, be the I mean, do the gemba, do the work, get their hands dirty and all that. So the automotive industry on the whole itself, no, if you see, the role of HR is quite challenging. Yeah. So you have different worlds which we have to kind of match. So like, again, to set the context, no, obviously when I started my career about 15, 16 years ago, we speak about HRFT ratio of about 1 is to 200 or 1 is to 300. And today, like as we speak, we have about one for every 70 or 80 employees. Maybe Arun can confirm or think, I don't know. Obviously, different industries have different standards. But as I see, no, maybe in the next 2 years or something, we may have one is to 200 or 1 is to 300. Okay. So the role of HR is becoming very, very critical in this evolution. And I think some key competencies or some key requirements from my point of view is fun. First is, I think, business acumen. Okay. So I mean, that is the foundation for all things that to follow. Because end of the day, if you see, you understand your business, and when I say business acumen, obviously I mean the ability to wear different hats. That is very critical for any HR professional. Ability to wear a HR hat, ability to wear a business hat, and understand the business issues and provide right solutions, especially in terms of people analytics, people driven decisions. I think that is the first thing. And second, as Mr. Arun also said, I think agility, project management, and leadership, that is one of the most crucial thing. When I speak about agility, project management, obviously I mean HR professionals need to be aware of what are the tools which are available in the market, and how do we leverage these tools in terms of faster decision making, or availability of data for line to take quicker decisions, and also make the job of employee and the HR professionals much more easy, and give a very positive employee experience to the employees. I think that is very crucial in terms of the need as of today. And again, as we know, building a data driven work culture. Today, if you see, we, like we say in auto component industry or automotive, we have data coming from, we have such a huge plethora of data available in the shop floor, like say in our machines there are several data points. So how do you actually kind of crunch this data and pull out and do meaningful analysis, so that no, you simplify your problems, you simplify the big data into something which we can analyze and take quicker decisions. I think broadly, if you see, these are the things which HR professionals require today to handle the kind of complex situation we are in.
Now, those were like some very important points that you raised, Madhu, and I want to zero in on one of the things that you spoke about, which was the data-driven work culture. And so I'll come to you, Setu, on that. And I wanted to understand from you, what are some actionable steps and best practices that organizations can uh, initiate to foster and strengthen this data-driven work culture.
Sure, sure. Thanks for that question, first of all. And I would like to reiterate. So, first, when we talk about data driven culture, so there is a very specific word also added, culture, right? So, everyone would like to have a different definition of what culture could mean. Basically, it's the amalgamation of ideas which are put into action. So, you can divide it and say, so there is an aspiration for an organization to reach where you are currently, and that striving is what is the difference. And during that striving, the outcome is basically the action that comes, right? So you have the aspiration and the outcome, which is nothing but the action. So this is a philosophy which at least I follow, and with that I'll take this forward, wherein when we talk about aspirations, so first we'll have to understand, as previously pointed out, where is the organization moving towards, what is the business vision that they are going towards, what is the leadership's aspirations, right? How it's going to impact them, and obviously the other competitive factors and external factors that come into play. So once you prepare or create a kind of vision board or a persona of how you see or foresee your own organization within a particular industry, then you go below and say, okay, where am I today? Where is the organization today? How much, if let's say they're trying to focus on a data driven, so that means decision making capability has to be made faster. Today a lot of things are happening, let's say in a manual factor, where still you're using the Excel sheet or dependent on a lot of forms to be filled. So that means the gap is huge. So now you have to bridge the gap. Now the striving comes into picture, where you identify, okay, how many gaps are there, and basis that, what you further create, okay, what should be our targets. So whether can I automate certain processes, right? Or can I make it easy for an employee to do a particular task? So it's two different things. So either a complete automation of certain particular area, or making it easy for completion of the task for the particular employee, where now you can move that employee to perform different complicated activities. So once you identify, then you move forward to also how many stakeholders support you would require. So this is where the change management and everything comes into picture now. So it's not just one activity where you're like, okay, data driven culture, if it has to be created, just an aspiration is okay. Now you need action, so you need support, so you need change champions that needs to be incorporated. So what it would be their activity or task? They have to now ensure in your daily activity, right? So you are using certain metrics. You're using that, and only then the data-driven actionable points can be, taken forward. And only because of that, you'll have a data-driven culture. And then using those daily action points further for evaluation or for the feedback purpose. That's it. My thought on it.
Now, thank you for sharing that, Setu. And you gave us a very step-by-step approach on how to go about this. So, coming to you, Arun, would you like to share some additional strategies or best practices that by which we can strengthen this data-driven work culture?
Yeah, certainly. See, I've been working quite passionate about this whole possibilities of what data can give. Am I audible? Is it clear? Yeah. So last 10, 12 years, we've been working with HR data, how it can help business to scale and business to succeed. So that has been one of the area which I've been passionately involved. And to me, there are 4 or 5 things that we need to do as HR function to get it right. That's how I look at it. One, you need to have a meaningful dialogue with the top. Top means HR is also a CEO agenda. That is, while HR head CPO is certainly there, unless and until the CEO focus on talent, it's just not going to happen. CEO means CEO plus the executive team. So your dialogue with the executive team and the CEO is very important, and you need to kind of bring down the objectives very, very clearly. What do we need as an organization from this whole people analytics? Okay, so that's point, and that's the starting point. The second point is break that down into key areas or result areas or KPI, which are measurables that can be tracked and can be reported out on a monthly basis or a periodic basis. So that's point number 2. Then point number 3 would be the whole setup of data. Like there is no dread for data. Okay, data is available in plenty, in large quantities, right? But we do not know what to do with the data. So this whole setup of data is very important. Unless and until you decide what is to be derived first, you will not be able to make use of data. Normally, what we go through the route is we have a lot of data, we start trying to analyze that, and then we will forcefully put some metrics out there which doesn't really make any sense. You need to figure out first what are those metrics which are important for you. What are those metrics which can have a leverage on your business to succeed? Then set your data correct to get those metrics. That's very important. It's like, why do all those new age companies like Amazon, Google, Facebook, all of them have terrific data driven decision making, whereas the old world economic companies are still struggling to get to that league because of the setup of data. So this is the biggest difference that HR people also need to realize. It's not just reporting turnover ratio, attrition, compensation per employee. That's not what it is. Does it help your business to succeed? What are those matrices which help your business to succeed? Define that along with your senior team, and then collect the data around it. And most important thing when you collect the data is it has to be real time, accurate, efficient data collection process. Typically, like I think Setu spoke about, a lot of data is collected in the traditional way, which is there, but to use that, it takes Herculean effort. If you can use data seamlessly from the collection, you have to get it right, and analysis is immediate. Click of a button, you analyze the data, and then you get insights from it. That is useful data for me. I classify that data journey across 5 levels, which is poor data, good data, strong data, and probably predictive analytics possibility. So these are four categories in which we can lead our data journey. Okay, and we have and 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 you should also deploy multiple tools which will help you with this. The Excel sheet, the traditional way of approaching, is not going to help you. You can put the best of the analyst. All that person would be able to do is to get you postmortem, get you lagging indicators. If you need your data to speak about what is going to happen or leading indicators, you need to collect data real time through chatbots, through engagement surveys which are real, through mood indicators or sentiment indicators, and so on and so forth. So, your style of collection of data, the setup of data will define the success of your data journey. Last but not the least, I think Madhu spoke about the culture. Sedu spoke about the culture. That's very important. Your HR team should be sensitized, educated to understand data, appreciate data, problem solve, and should be experts in the function. Domain expertise carries a what? How do you really swing this data to your advantage? That's very important. We can we can go through many case studies, but because of paucity of time, we may not be able to. But these are my thoughts.
No, thank you for sharing that, Arun. Those were like some really important points that you raised, and especially like the point upon setting the context and defining the matrices before we, start with the data collection and the analysis. So, great points on how we can, strengthen the data-driven culture. So, coming to Setu, I wanted to also take a different lens to this question, and since you have led, several implementation journeys, from you, I wanted to understand what are some common misconceptions or pitfalls, that HR should be aware of when embarking on a people analytics journey, and how can they best, avoid these?
Okay, okay. So this is from my experience for the past, whatever 20, 30 implementations that I've done. So again, it could be limited, but this is what generally the story, that I've seen cut across. Number one is that there is no pre-planning before they embark on the journey of the implementation. So which is very important. And what is this pre-planning consists of? It consists of conducting an in-depth internal study. So which we, in previous section, which was asked, talking about what is your business vision, where do you want to go, right? So HR needs to understand that in the next few years, it could be 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever down the line, the whole journey across, right? Where are we going to position ourselves? So accordingly, what are the various challenges that are going to come out? So understanding why we are doing what we are doing, how do we ensure that we whatever gaps that are coming in, so what kind of tools we would need, whether we need a customized tool for a particular problem that we are trying to resolve, or is it an holistic tool which consists of all the other functionalities of HR? How do I want to take it forward? So that is something which generally they're not clear completely on. I mean, they do have the idea generally, but they're not very clear that this is the target area that we are focusing on. So hence, because of that, there is no proper pre-planning, which further leads to what kind of stakeholders should be involved, right? I'm sorry to call it out, but sometimes even I have noticed there is a lot of difference between the vision between the HR team and the finance team, or sometimes the IT. And this is where change management, again, I'll come back to that because that becomes very, very critical and important. So first, stakeholder management. You understand what kind of stakeholders are going to be involved in this, how to create a team which consists of not only just HR, but also people from IT, also from people from finance, and also having the leadership, aware of what kind of, let's say, people analytics journey we are going to create for our employees. How is it going to affect? So those kind of thought processes have to be brought in, and this sometimes after we start implementation we do provide, but it's always best that it starts beforehand, because only then there'll be a seamless support and a really nice journey that can be created for all the employees. Finally, one more thing that I would talk about is again not taking the complete ownership of change management. Even today, I do know there are a lot of HR leaders who talk about, the sole responsibility of being a change agent, but sometimes they have to take that responsibility, because why I've noticed is sometimes it's a risk that you are bringing in a new tool, a new way of working. So as I was talking about the culture, now new way of processing or action is going to take place. So there's still a risk where employees might come back and say, hey, why are you bringing in all those changes? So there might be a lot of questions. So there's a fear of, failing or fear of losing. And that is where sometimes they do not completely take the ownership, uh, which again further goes back and affects, how do they implement the complete project, what kind of support is required. So it's like a, circular loop. So first they would have to have a clear understanding of what they're trying to achieve, have a really good plan beforehand, and also evaluation of the vendor. So once you identify, okay, this is the problem area, as I mentioned, what kind of tools I need, what kind of vendor should I involve? Should I consider them as a vendor or partners? So vendor is somebody, it's very short term, according to me. It's just a short term, contractual agreement. Okay, yes, we have this. No, but we're trying to create partners. So that means the journey, whenever the tool or people and tool also evolves, it's going to help or align with the business goal or HR goals of the organization. So that's how I see there are a lot of misconceptions, challenges. So these are the areas, if they focus on, the complete journey would be, I wouldn't say 100% amazing or create a happy environment, but obviously it would be way better and easier for them to integrate the employees.
No, those are some like very pertinent points that you raised. The pre-planning culture, not taking complete ownership of the journey, and also most importantly, evaluating the vendor, whether we are looking at them as a vendor or a partner. So, thank you, for sharing that, Setu. And diving, deeper into, you spoke about the some of the things that we should consider before implementing, people analytics. So, from an HR perspective, I want to come to you, Madhu, for this question and ask you, what do you think HR should consider when evaluating and implementing people analytics to ensure that it aligns with the unique organizational goals and values?
Yeah, thank you, Asmani. I think, see, from my point of view and also from my experience, evaluating a HR tool, the simple thing is that one size does not fit all. I think the first and the foremost and criteria is identifying your business need, okay, and identifying your organization and what is that you are using this tool for. I think that's the first step. What is the problem you are solving for? I mean, from my experience, in fact, I have also been party to it. We sometimes jump into a solution without even understanding or maybe biting more than what we can chew. I mean, we subscribe to several tools, but at the end of the day, we sometimes feel that no, our technology ecosystem does not support, or we may actually not require that at this point of time. So I think the first point is identifying your business need, and then coming up or selecting the right solution, be it HRMS or be it data analytics, or you want to do a people analytics, or say Gen AI or things like that. And the second point I feel is scalability and compatibility. I think, today, if you see, we operate out of two plants in India, one in Chennai and one in Manesar. So obviously, tomorrow we may want to expand our facilities, and whether the tool is scalable. And today, as we speak about so much of diversity, we speak about inclusion. So I think scalability, compatibility is a very key factor. And like I said in my previous point, the one biggest challenge I think, which maybe Arun may also agree, is our tech ecosystem has to communicate with each other. Like today, if you see, our any for this thing, finance operates on a SAP system, just as an example, and HR may run on a completely different system. And end of the day, the HR folks and the finance folks have to kind of download data and then upload into some other system. So you have sometimes poor communication between systems. So compatibility and kind of you have a overarching kind of system which communicates with each other. I think that's a very important point. And third point, I mean, end user friendliness and effectiveness is another key point. Because end of the day, you want the tool to be successful. The system has to be user friendly. System has to be simple. System has to be obviously very attractive and give a positive experience for employees. So that's a very important factor. And obviously customization is also very critical, because as you know, we live in a world of VUCA, where you have a lot of challenges, you have a lot of disruptions. So the tool should be uh, able to customize, and you should be able to work on different solutions, work on different platforms, and things like that. And I think these are the key points. These are the key points where we should consider in terms of be it HRMS or be it any people capability tool, because end of the day, otherwise it will be just a tick in the box, and we won't be able to take faster decisions, or the life of a manager won't be any effective if we don't consider these factors.
No, thank you for sharing that. And I think like you've raised very like critical points, and the communication across tech ecosystems. I think that's like very important, especially since we are working with different technologies in different organizations, and getting that right data and making it seamless for all stakeholders. So thank you for sharing that, Madhu. And coming to you, Arun, from an HR standpoint, do you have any key has Arun job? Okay. Okay, okay. No worries. Then maybe I just come to you, Setu, if there is anything else that you would like to also add from like an evaluation and implementation perspective. Any?
Yes, so not much because I think most has been covered. But one area is, which I also have to point it out is when you're looking at this solutioning aspect, right? So you have to, according to me, segregate it into three areas, broader areas. It could be people, which is behavior, right? It could be at the process level that you need to bring a change, or it could be at the product or tool. So whenever you identify a problem and you say, okay, will this tool help me? Is this a tool related or product related issue that can be resolved? Or is it that we need to relook at our process, or it's a people behavior? I'll give an example. So sometimes clients do come across and inform us, hey, the reporting managers, since they are doing manual practice, so they are not approving it, or it's taking a lot of time, which is affecting our payroll process run. So we need a tool. Okay, we can bring in automated notification, but they still want to continue with the same approval process. They don't want any automation where, for example, if the reporting manager does not approves or takes any action, it has to get automatically escalated, or should the system automatically approve or reject. They don't want all those actions. They still want to continue with the same process. But the problem is it might still persist or remain the same, because why? One is attitude still has to change, where the reporting manager has still, has to enter the product and approve it, right? We can make it more easier, but they still have to do the action. So that is what they have to sometimes, combine, whether this problem can be resolved through all three or any two combination, or is it only product are they looking at? So sometimes, it might be very narrow, focus through which they're, or lens they're looking at the problem.
No, no, that was like a very critical takeaway. The process and behavior is also, important to the success of any people analytics journey. So, thank you for raising that, Setu. Coming to you, Arun, wanted to, talk to you about from HR perspective, what is your take on evaluating and implementing people analytics. Yes.
Yeah. See, I want to take a different route in discussing this topic now. While data setup, tool setup, KPIs, decision making, all those things are important. That's given. That's very important. But as HR professionals, we also need to creatively problem solve. Okay, that's important. For example, I know this is probably not a very interactive platform, but if I ask the audience, what is the talent acquisition data that you're looking at in people analytics? Ask that question to ourselves. Mostly people will come with fulfillment rate, speed of fulfillment, offer to joining ratio, source mix, productivity of recruiters, success of people in the first 4 months, isn't it? These are the top 4 or 5 metrics that may come through, or average cost of hire, those kind of things. These are all lagging indicators. Event has happened, we are analyzing the data, and we are reporting out the metric. This has been there for the last 15 years, 20 years. We are probably putting it's old wine, new bottle kind of a thing, right? But that's not what we have to do in people analytics. In people analytics, recruitment is all about, can we reach out the talent that we need? Do we have the success profiles of people who are successful in this company? Can you match that success profiles with talent which is out there in the market? Can you learn something from the marketing team who do marketing analytics and campaign management and drive your recruitment function like a campaign function? If I want to hire Asmani should see my advertisement continuously so that it generate interest in her to check out what this company is all about. That's the way analytics should develop, and that's how we should deploy our tools and our efforts towards creating leverage for the organization to succeed. Reporting the events that has happened in the past certainly will help to improve, but that will not create leverage. Similarly, engagement survey. All of us does engagement survey. It's an annual event, quarterly event, monthly event. It happens. There's a whole lot of data. It takes 2-3 months to get it right. There are certain things which are real time today. So what we should subscribe is, in my opinion, is real time engagement, which go all the way down to the manager and to the employee himself or herself. You give a survey, manager can accumulate the data, HR can see the data, manager can see the action items, HR can see the action item, CEO can see the action item, the employee can see the action item, everything wired through one tool. So that there is no back and forth communication. Otherwise, HR gets caught in this postman job of presenting it, doing the focus group discussion, presenting it back. That era is over. Real time, efficient, visualized data. That is the mantra for the new people analytics.
Definitely agree with that. Thank you so much, for sharing and emphasizing on how we can leverage people analytics rather than just derive the data. So one of the things, like just extending that conversation. So Madhu, I'd like to come to you. So since we've spoken about the importance of leveraging people analytics, could you share with us how we can measure the on ROI on the efforts of implementing people analytics? And if you could share some use cases, or I'm combining an audience question here as well, if you could share some use cases from your experience of successfully leveraging people analytics and how it has helped you improve decision making.
Yeah. See, a straight answer to the ROI would be obviously a leadership level. People may ask things like, what has been your headcount over a period of time? What is the rationalization which has happened? Obviously, because the management does invest in getting a tool and all that. But see, from my point of view, and also from HR point of view, and also when you speak about use cases, so I would like to specifically mention about a tool which we are using, which has kind of driven productivity. And I know that Arun spoke a lot about real time, and I fully agree and subscribe to that point. Like when we say any analytics tool or any tool, it needs to capture data on a real time basis. So the one example which I would like to give is that so we have quality inspectors who are working in the shop floor, who basically evaluate, inspect product on a shift basis. So what happens is that, like I also said earlier, you have system to kind of generate this data. They feed in the data, and so how do you measure these people's performance? So the line manager pulls out this data, and he fills out this data from the HRMS software. So what we have done is that we have basically kind of made these two systems communicate. So a quality inspector, once he kind of does the inspection from a CMM machine, so this data gets downloaded from the CMM machine, and it goes into the quality management software. And from the QMS, it replicates, the data replicates into the HRMS system, where the performance of the quality inspector is measured directly. So it makes the job of the line manager and HR very easy in terms of measuring the performance of the employee in the shop floor, and taking quicker decisions. And also this kind of culminates on a monthly basis and a quarterly basis. And also consciously, what we are trying to do in our organization is, as we speak about real time, we don't want performance measurement to happen over a period of 1 year. So we want to consciously make sure that no, the managers check in on a daily basis or a monthly basis, and give feedback then and there. Okay, and so that no, employees kind of make sure that they calibrate their performance, they fine tune that and all that. So I think this is something which we are working on. So honestly, again, if you ask me whether it's 100% there, no. I mean, in our organization, we are about say 40-50% there. But this is something which we are doing very consciously to to measure productivity, to measure performance on a real time basis. Make sure that all the people analytics tool and the HR tools are communicating very closely with say SAP, where sales data is generated, where QMS modules, okay, production planning, okay, that's a very huge area which we are leveraging. Okay, because today we operate at say about 60-40 ratio. We operate on a high flexibility. That's how most of the automotive component companies work. So how do you actually generate your manpower requirements for the next 3 months? So we pull out real time data from the customer websites, and kind of do a production planning for the next 3 months and manpower required. And then not only that, we kind of prepare the roster from the production planning module, and then allocate people on the shifts, and kind of generate the roster from it. So this is something which we are working on in terms of making sure that no, we have zero manual intervention in terms of assigning people in the shifts, assigning people in the shop floor. So these are some of the areas, used cases, which we are using in terms of using people analytics, and also using in terms of, you spoke about seamless tools which are used across platforms. So these are some of the things which we are this thing. And of course the measurement of this is, we take feedback. Obviously we take employee feedback. Line managers come to us on a real time basis in terms of how things have evolved over a period of time, making sure that no, we don't do firefighting. And that's actually the real ROI, in my opinion.
Thank you for sharing that, Madhu, and for going completely in depth on how you are leveraging people analytics at Bridgestone. So coming to you, Setu, just wanted to get your insights on how we can measure the ROI, as well as any like use cases that you would also like to highlight.
Sure, sure. So again, you have to go back to where currently the organization lies. So does it has complete data, structured data with it, and is it moving to now, people analytics too, which from already has. So there could be a motivation why they're moving it. So as Arun pointed out. So one thing which stood out for me was the dashboard of the visibility of the data, real-time data that has to be there. So that could be one motivation for them. Then you can have some other type of organization who have unstructured, or rather it's scattered, not unstructured, rather it's scattered. They're using multiple different tools, basis which they are not able to integrate or link with each other, because of which they are not able to generate an actionable data points. And the final is the extreme end where they do not have any proper tool or a process, so it's a complete change for them. So the ROI would vary per where the organization lies for them, right? So for example, in one of the clients, so they were only having let's say just attendance, time and attendance they were using for mobile function, that's it. But through our system, so since I'm working at QSM, so we have our own tool. It's complete hire to retire suite. So that is where we went forward. We went ahead. We provided them with, yes, you have time and attendance, but it has to talk with your payroll. It also has to talk with the employee management. It has to talk, again, employee management has to talk with your recruitment onboarding process, so that it's a seamless integration. So where do they foresee their organization moving towards? So depending that goal, so they would have have to generate an objective. From that objective comes certain metrics. So for example, they would have say, okay, I want to increase the productivity because I see there is a lot of absenteeism coming in. But productivity could not just be linked with absenteeism. There could be a lot of other factors that could be engaged in. So it could be because of, as you said, organization culture. So you need a tool wherein they are able to also understand, the mood of the employee. So you have survey tool which has to be there in the product. Then you have to look at their performance, not at a staggered point, but it has to be continuous, wherein you're able to evaluate, right? So all those pointers have to be linked, and then they can say, okay, it's just not this tool. So the complete picture it brings in has now helped them reducing not only the, let's say, the productivity issue, which they were just focusing on, maybe the absenteeism, because they were not aware of the other factors that could affect. But right now they have complete visibility that is there, and also the ability to measure which employee is coming at what time, what has been there, having a daily track of it, and then linking it with their performance and their potential cycle. Getting inputs from the reporting manager is important, and then you have the engagement score from which they can generate and calculate, okay, so these many employees, this has helped us in increasing the productivity, or at least you will be able to identify where the problem lies if you're unable to increase it, at least, right? So that's the first step for any organization. So that is my thought process when it comes to how they can look at the return on investment. So it can be qualitative, but definitely you can quantify it. Any qualitative data, you can put a number. But having said that, it contains both the things.
I really liked how both you and Madhu spoke about performance and from different lens, and you gave a holistic picture of how it can operate in different contexts. So before we since we have, I think, a little less than 15 minutes left, so I'll just jump into some audience questions that we haven't answered, and I'll just show it out to all of you, and you can pick, and like you can pick as you wish. So the first question that I wanted to ask was, are there any emerging trends? This is from audience. Are there any emerging trends or technologies, in the field of people analytics that you believe, we should consider adopting or integrating into our organization?
Hi, Aswan. Yeah.
Yeah, Asmani, we just
I,
lost you in between.
okay, okay. What did I? Am I back now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Sorry.
are.
Yeah, sorry. I think there was like an internet glitch on my end. Yes. So the first, audience question that I wanted to pick up was, are there any like, emerging trends or technologies in the field of people analytics that we should consider adopting?
Yeah, I can go that. So actually, there is a lot of investments dollar pouring into people analytics today. Uh, I would. This is very important to understand. Manual work to automated work is not analytics. Okay, automation is a step towards analytics. So just because having a tool that doesn't, and the manual work has shifted to automation, that doesn't mean that we are doing good analytics. Analytics need deep insights. How many we need to also understand whether our HR team has a analyst, a data scientist. I have hired a data scientist in HR for doing people analytics. Many HR department does not have it. So that's the setup. Then there are so many tools out there in the market. I would always say real time, efficient, visualized tools. Okay, these will bring the change naturally, and there are plenty of tools out there in all section of HR function, which is attracting, recruiting, when hiring, training, compensating, uh, all of that, managing career. So in all those functions, there are plenty of tools available. And personally, while there can be one mothership to hold the whole core HR, there are good point in time, I mean, point solutions which are from experts that you can bring into the mothership. That's a better approach that I would take, especially for companies which are not very big.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Arun. Anything, Madhu or Setu, you would like to add to this?
Yeah. So from my point of view, I'd like to add on the trend that might come up, right? So something called intelligent office or smart office. So that's a new thing which would come, because right now when you look at the input data points for any of these people analytics that we're talking about, it's either through some other tool where you either integrate that, but still there are areas, especially in HR, because where you need to ensure that there is no gap. So whether it be from the time period of somebody entering the office, the daily chores or the work that they're doing, as well as how do you automatically link. Right now what still happens is where I as an employee will have to go and say, okay, this is my task for the day and I'm updating my work, this is my goal achievement and all those things. But how do we ensure, how do we say the tool can slowly capture that? So that's a new, I mean, it's very new. So that's what even I'm trying to learn on that, how it's going to move from a system point of view to now you have a lot of data sensors, or it will link with multiple other areas, with either it could be within your office or anywhere, where it tries to capture data of what you're doing and try to provide you with the outcome, which is people analytics, how we can utilize it to better. So one is the experience point of view is also going to tremendously increase, wherein you're now going to move away from doing a small basic activity to a lot of complicated tasks. And for that you need a lot of data points, and still I feel a lot of organizations are still lacking, and even in the tools or technology it still needs to look at this area, particular area.
Madhu, anything from you on this?
So I think from my perspective, predictive analytics, I think, is a huge area where, like a company like us, we are investing a lot in terms of helping us drive our business decisions, especially in terms of, I mean, we use it in the area of performance management, we use it in the area of recruitment, talent acquisition, we use it for assessment. Because no, if you see, our industry is very complex, highly technical driven. Okay, so when we look at, say, sales and marketing, we look at techno commercial people. So I mean, what are the companies where we can actually attract people from? Okay, uh, I mean, we have tried some very different combinations. We have thought out of the box in terms of, say, attracting people from totally different industry like FMCG. So obviously, when we talk about this type of analytics, uh, when we look at data from across the industry, so this is some area where we are working on. And another point, which maybe companies like Acrivia or companies which provide tools are, we look at tools which are really real time. Like when we talk about say talent assessment, okay, I'm sure that Arun will kind of agree. So if you see today, talent assessment or say an assessment center is something which happens. You pull out people from their daily business and daily work, and you assess them. So today, if you see, we want to work on an assessment tool which is very real time, which can actually assess the potential of a person when they are actually on the job. So, do you have a tool for that? Okay, that is something where we speak to consultants and we try to work on those kind of assessment tools. So, from that point of view, no, I mean, I fully agree with Arun. Okay, in terms of how we can actually measure things which don't meet the eye, okay, or things which can be analyzed on a real time basis. So that way I think predictive analytics and real time data analytics is something we are working on.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Madhu. So with 5 minutes to go, we'll close the session. I just wanted to get quick inputs. Like any last words of advice or learnings that you would like to share with our community on how they can stay updated. With the latest tools and trends in people analytics. In just one line. We'll start with you, Arun.
Uh, so these are a couple of things that from my side. One, from HR function, we should first of all change our mindset in terms of approaching data and insights and analytics. So that is one. We ourselves should get educated through maybe online program or a structured program, whatever. Okay, so that our education, we are clear. We are not bits and pieces with respect to data, because data is the thing that is not going to go away, and you need to play it, you need to ride it well. So as much as your HR skills, you're good in HR, that's great. You should be good in data too. It's not HR or data, it's HR and data. You have to be good in both. So educate yourself, be good at it. Create a culture in the team so that data driven decisions are promoted. Okay, go back and back test your data driven decisions, whether you got it right or wrong. Yeah, and how what percentage you got it right. So that's one aspect, creating that culture, educating yourself. Second is what I would say, the whole setup, structure, selling to the executive team, so that you are able to compel yourself to produce something on a periodic basis, which is seen by the organization, understood by the organization, appreciated by the organization. When you have that kind of a thing going, you would be more interested in diving deeper and taking it to greater heights. That's the way in which we need to think through. Of course, there are multiple tools. Getting tools is not difficult, because today internet gives you all kind of information. Simple Power BI, bringing it everything together right up to the CEO is more than enough. Yeah, but that setup, you have to be clear in your mind what will give you leverage. That's about from my
Thank you.
side.
Thank you for sharing that. Any quick inputs from you, Madhu, and then we'll come to you, Sidhu.
Yeah. See, from my opinion, I think understanding the business and understanding the culture, okay, is very important. And I mean, have a strategy in place in terms of what is that you're going to solve for. What is the problem you're going to solve for? I think that is the most critical point. So, I mean, as I mentioned, obviously, I mean, if you see, no, today, like we know, there are tools available in the market, and I'm sure that we can build that ecosystem within the organization. But end of the day, if it does not solve or meet the bigger business purpose, okay, that's not going to be of any use. So from that point of view, I think any tool which we invest on, I think validity, okay, and is a very critical point. And bigger business consensus and kind of building the entire ecosystem, that is very important. Because end of the day, if you see the implementation, or if you are not kind of building the program on a larger scale basis, involving business, or making sure that you don't solve for a bigger problem, end of the day, then the tool is going to fail. So cautious approach is required. At the same time, HR should be the lead in terms of driving this change, because HR is very much aware of what is there in the market, what are the tools which are available, and all that. But I think at the same time, what will the business require? What will work in this organization? How is it it's going to solve the bigger problem? How is it going to kind of integrate into the entire technology ecosystem of the company? I think that's very important, and HR has to lead that, from my point of view.
Thank you, Madhu, for sharing that. Setu, your final quick take.
Yeah, so I think great points from Arun and Madhu. So what I would say is adding the networking with internal, your stakeholders. That is also very, very important because you talk with them. So you have your own IT team. Now you interact with them to understand what's happening in their, particular area. You talk with your operations head. You try to understand what is happening in your particular area. You try to understand. And currently, what as I was mentioning, now a lot of integration with tools is also being expected, right? So that means even if you bring in an HRMS, it's not going to have a standalone impact. It's going to impact a lot of other areas. So having that peer or understanding, creating that understanding is very, very important. So, and it will also open your thought process and mindset to realize, okay, what is the original problem that they are facing? It's not A, it's rather B, right? Finally, I would also add, so these are external things which you have spoken. Lastly, the internal thing, according to me, is, I would just like to add a little bit of craziness, a little bit of creativity is required and is needed, where you read, do leverage or understand or assimilate all the points taken in, but you also have to have, your own thought process. Okay, what happens if certain things you can bring in? Just that spark of creativity. And as Arun mentioned, you build a team, right? You try to test it out, right? And you evaluate and see how it works. But for that, you need that creativity. You need the risk ability to take those risks. So that is something which I would just like to add on and close my remarks.
Great, great. Thank you for sharing that, Setu. And with that, we come to the end of the session. Thank you, Madhu, Arun, and Setu, for sharing, your wonderful learnings and insights with us. We got some really great takeaways. And we would also like to, thank our partner, Akrivya HCM, for helping us curate this discussion. And a big thank you to our audience as well, for participating and, for sharing their time with us and for sharing some really wonderful questions. It has been a pleasure hosting you all. And do stay in touch for more details on our upcoming events. Have a great day ahead. And thank you once again to our speakers. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you.